Amazon fees, Klaviyo launching an HC, Meta broken. What's going on here?
With the mass amount of data that we have, we could not find any strong evidence. If Klaviyo can take over your clientele, then you as an agency aren't offering them enough value. What's up? Welcome back to Whale Informed, which is a pun for well-informed. Some people asked me about that. That is kind of weird. Ethan, what are we talking about this week?
All right, so this week we're going to talk about the meta drama that's going on around Twitter and everywhere on the internet. Then we're going to jump into creator and celebrity-led brands. We're going to rank them. We're going to analyze them. It's going to be awesome. And then finally, we're going to conclude with the Johnologue. Where we're going to talk about if Klaviyo launched an agency, if they launched ProServ, what's going on there.
Ooh, yeah.
But first, let's get started. Meta, is it broken? I'm going to read a tweet to start this off from Sean Frank, the CEO of Ridge Wallets, and he tweeted, Amazon fees, Klaviyo launching an HC, Meta broken. Did someone break the D2C mirror? Like, what's going on here?
We have 7 years of bad luck here. I love that there's drama about Meta, about Facebook and Instagram on Twitter. That's just classic stuff. This is classic Twitter people being Twitter people, you know? A lot of people know about, confirmation bias. Basically, once you see something and think something, you will see and think more of it. There's tons of studies on this. Like when people are told that they're watching a basketball game where the refs are bad, they'll notice every bad call. Whereas if they're just told to watch a basketball game, they won't recall as many bad calls or as many calls that they saw as bad. So there's lots of confirmation bias here. Probably, every time something happens, then people notice it. People tweet about it because Twitter is where it's the cesspool that all of us DTC marketers go to just vent and share our frustrations. Look, I'm not saying nothing's going on here, but I will say this. We were trying to tweet some sort of data-backed thing about this. And with a mass amount of data that we have across 11,000 stores, we could not find any strong evidence that there was any change for advertisers outside the normal. So I want to start this conversation here and say that I think that, yes, I definitely think stuff's going on. It's been a little bit harder than normal, but I think there's a lot of confirmation bias here as well.
From what we've seen so far this year, and because it's been a tough year in general and brands are struggling, I think once those things started, people became more hyper aware. And so now every week they're pointing them out, they're talking about it, and it just creates this effect. And it definitely is affecting brands. But like you said, when we look at the data at a high level, it's not like we're seeing massive changes or shifts in anything. So,
and do you know what is interesting? If anything, what we're seeing is that Meta has been a relatively stable platform for advertisers, and Google is the platform that, while stable, is getting less and less profitable, kind of monthly, weekly, like at a very rapid pace for advertisers. So I will say though that kind of to counterbalance myself here and say, like, it's not all confirmation bias. One of the Facebook outages or Instagram outages was large enough to be like known by just normal people. I was at Disneyland this week my family was at Disneyland. I was at the Airbnb working, and they came back, and like my cousin, because we were staying with like another family, my cousin was like, oh yeah, I knew. I just saw news that Facebook was out this morning. I told you guys, right? Like this had like come into their zeitgeist, Steven. So I think that it's legitimate. Anytime that it comes, anytime people are like, oh, my Instagram is down, and it like reaches that kind of mass knowledge, it's not just the advertisers who are like, do I suck or does Meta suck? Let me go to Twitter and ask. Well, other people say Meta sucks too, so great. I don't suck. Meta sucks. It's not just that. There's definitely been some bugs. I'm not denying. I'm not a Meta apologist over here. I'm just saying that there's definitely there's a lot of confirmation bias, and there does seem to be a little bit more bugs than normal.
Awesome. All right. So speaking of sucking, I believe Footlocker put out their earnings call this week. And
let's talk about Footlocker, dude.
Let's talk about Footlocker.
Let me paint a picture for you, young blood. Let me paint a picture for you because I don't know if you grew up in this era, but here's the thing: like 20 years ago now, back when Eminem was bumping on the radio, and our pants were down around the middle of our thighs. Uh, the spot to go for your sneakers was Footlocker, man. Like, you go to Footlocker on a Saturday, and that place is gonna be bustling with kids sagging their pants and wearing shirts that are too big, and white kids trying to be cool, right? That was Footlocker. That's what was going on in Footlocker 20 years ago. They just had their latest earnings call, and it does not look good. And the biggest thing there's a couple big things that stick out to me. The biggest is they were not profitable during Q4. Q4, for people who don't know, Q4, the months between October and December, are the months that retail stores are typically very profitable, and sometimes they're not very profitable for the rest of the year. But the reason it's called Black Friday, or one of the folklore reasons around why it's called Black Friday, is because the legend goes that, a lot of times retail stores were in the red, meaning they were not profitable for the full year until that day after Thanksgiving, when they had this huge shopping push, and then they, became profitable for the year. And that's concerning. I mean, is Footlocker going out? I feel like a little piece of my heart would go with it.
When I looked into this report as well, I saw that only 25% of Footlocker sales came from digital sales, which really scared me. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing now. And I even did a little bit of testing, and I looked up Nike Blazers, a very basic iconic shoe that's sold in all these stores, and it was Nike, then Dick's, and then a few other things, then Footlocker. And so I think a lot of this is that, one, the retail experience isn't top notch. It's not, maybe it's like close down par. It's not better than Finish Line. It's not better than Dick's. And they haven't prioritized that digital expansion nearly as much. And I think Nike's probably dominating that space, especially.
One thing is they're very heavily reliant on Nike. I've seen, and I didn't read this part of the earnings call, so I've seen 50% of their sales came from Nike shoes. I've also seen as high as 60% of their sales may have came from Nike shoes. They were like, they could not stop talking about Nike in this earnings call. They're like, well, we're down because Nike is screwing. They're not giving us good terms. It's like, dude, you guys gotta, Nike's not your business. Footlocker's your business. You guys sell all kinds of stuff in there. You can't.
Does Nike talk about them?
No, not Nike. Nike doesn't even care. Nike's they're like, Footlocker's like the side chick, dude. Footlocker's the chick that they're texting. They're sliding in the DMs at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, right? I don't know. I got nothing better going on. Maybe I'll hit up Footlocker. They're talking about Finish Line Sports and Dick's. Something stands out to me about Dick's certain sporting goods stores. So Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's, Scheels, they come into markets and they create this superstore experience where it's basically like IKEA for dudes. And you go in there, sometimes they'll have food in there. The Scheels near where I live has a Ferris wheel, inside the store. This isn't a joke. I know that sounds like a joke. It's a real thing. There's a Ferris wheel in there. It's this, come here on a Saturday and hang out experience. I live in a town with only about 50,000, 60,000 people in it. And we have one of these sporting goods superstores. It's more of a regional one than the ones I said, but it's that same model of a sporting goods superstore. And it's probably the most popular retailer in town, including stores like Walmart. So I think that other sporting goods stores take a very different approach to shopping, where Footlocker is still pretty much in malls. So retail probably does a little better in those stores. Also, that whole mindset that makes you create a store like that probably also helps them sell better online. Cabela's is like this. Cabela's comes into a market and conquers the market. And so those are a couple observations I have about Footlocker. They're going to close a whole bunch of stores down. They're going to try and get profitable. They don't project getting profitable for another 2 years.
My one add to that is I've had a very similar experience recently with the PGA Superstore, getting into golf.
Yeah.
I go there, I check it out, I test out golf clubs. It's an experience. And I think experiential retail
that's pretty much it. If people are going to come into a store to shop, why would you go into a Footlocker? The only reason would be because you don't know what size or whatever. But a lot of people just realize how easy it is to send stuff back if you get it online. So, plus you got to go walk through this depressing mall that nobody's in. I get it,
Yep. All right. Let's shift gears now to creator-led and influencer-led brands. Ooh. So what we're going to do here is John and I each picked 3 different brands that we're going to introduce to each other, and we're going to rate them. We're going to talk through, and we're going to analyze them on quality of product. What happens to this brand if you remove the creator influencer? So like, does the brand completely go away? What happens there?
Does it
And
work without the
creator
creator?
product fit. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. Say what the last one was again.
No, you're good. And then the last one is creator product fit. So did they just slap the creator onto this, or is this something that like it makes sense? And then we'll rate each one on the scale of 1
I think we go American public school style here, and we say each criteria is worth a third of their grade. We give them a percentage on each criteria, and like a grade on each criteria, and come up with a grade for them. Let's go back and forth. So you go first.
All right, awesome. So my first one is TB12 Sports. It's Tom Brady's nutrition-led brand. I think he announced this not long after he retired. And initially, the brand launched as, I think it was protein, electrolytes, and supplements with Tom Brady's name slapped onto it.
Yeah.
There's something else I want to say, but I'm going to pause there.
Yes. Here's my initial thought on this. I don't think Tom Brady would put his name on it if the quality wasn't pretty good.
Agree.
So I'm going to default to about an 85%, like a mid B on the quality of product. And then what is the brand without the creator? This is where I think they get like a pretty big mark down for me. I would give them almost maybe a 60% or a 50%, like a fail in this category. And then creator product fit, that's an A plus, right? So they're going to get 95. They're going to 100% from me in that product in that category. And that's where, maybe I'll even bump the fit up to 90%. So if I'm shaking it all out here, I think I've got, I probably got them at like a B minus or a C.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the 2 things I'll add is around these nutritions like protein, electrolyte, supplements. It's really hard to vet the quality. It's not like a chew or a physical product.
Right.
It's kind of a gray area.
Did I get stronger? Yeah.
Like it's probably decent quality, but also there's so many behind the scenes like manufacturers and distributors of this type of product that they could have just slapped the label on. But it's probably decent. But that's my one ad there. And the second ad is that recently they actually announced a merger. So TB12 merged with Noble, which is a very well-known, popular, high-quality CrossFit shoe and other product brands, or CrossFit and fitness in general. It's early on to see the result, but I think that's one to keep our eyes on.
I got him I'm going to give him a final score here. I give him a C+. What do you got him?
I'm going to give him a straight C.
Okay, so we got them, between the two of us, I think we got him at a C. I'm going to start with Chamberlain Coffee, and I'll give a little background here. Chamberlain Coffee is a coffee brand launched by Emma Chamberlain. They were actually just another coffee brand. So it was a D2C coffee brand. And I can't, the name is escaping me. I know the name, but the name is escaping me at the moment. And it was launched by, I don't know if you remember the fake Tom Cruise guy. The guy who did like the fake Tom Cruise TikToks during the pandemic. And so like it's generative AI for his face, but he actually looks like, the generative AI wasn't as good then, but he looks like Tom Cruise and he can act. He like has the mannerisms down. So he launched this D2C coffee brand because he saw what some of the other D2C brands were doing. He launched this D2C coffee brand. It's like kind of going okay. And then he meets Emma Chamberlain and they decide to sort of spin up a different brand, I think with the same core product and slap her branding on it and stuff like that. Emma Chamberlain, pretty well-known vlogger from the, 2010s, I would say. A little bit lower key now. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
This is an interesting one because I wasn't a viewer of Emma Chamberlain personally, but I have seen the impact and the reach of Chamberlain Coffee everywhere. And I didn't realize it was a creator-led brand at first, which I think is a great sign. And I do think when we lean into the brand side in general, it is a very unique brand. And they're not like slapping her face on everything. Like it's her name, but it almost works into this unique, creative, like really poppy brand. And I actually recently had it for the first time. My girlfriend was gifted some of it. And another thing that was interesting was how you consume the coffee. At least in the version that we had, was you put the hot water into a cup and it's almost like a tea bag, but it's for coffee. And it was really good. It was a great product.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say that when we look at quality of product, good quality product, a little bit unique too in how you consume it, at least in that format. So I'd give it an A there. what's the brand without the creator? So I'm sure they did lean heavy into her. It's her name to launch it. So I'm sure it does lose some reach without her.
Mhm.
But the fact that like I didn't realize it was a creator led brand at first, I think it's ascended beyond that point where it would still stay a strong brand.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a B there. And then creator product fit, that's one where coffee is so basic almost that it's for me at least it's hard to make that connection right now. Maybe if I knew more it'd be better, but I'll give that
Yeah.
more of a C just because it's a basic product.
I would have liked to see better creator product fit, but I also can realize that like I think it's pretty hard for like a vlogger, like a lifestyle vlogger, to have great creator product fit. And if you think about
Right.
like Prime Energy, is it really a great creator product fit with Logan Paul? Yeah, kinda. I mean, he's an athlete or whatever. But the main thing is that he's just drinking it all the time. And that was Emma Chamberlain before she had Chamberlain Coffee. She was just like always had her iced coffee, always had, she just drank a lot of coffee. That was her thing in her vlog. And she just has a relationship with her viewers. So here's my thoughts on this. I think I go a little more middle of the road with it. I'd love to see better creator product fit, but I also think it'd be hard for a lifestyle vlogger to have much better creator product fit. So I'm going to give it a B there. I'm going to give it a B on what it would be without the creator. I think coffee, direct to consumer coffee, is so difficult and so competitive that I don't know that I see this being that great without her as the engine for it. And she's just like not as visible at the moment. And I wonder if that's like a hindrance for the brand. Like I obviously they're still going, so they can stand on their own. So I can't give them an A in what they would be without Emma Chamberlain. This isn't like Ridge Wallet. They're an A without MKBHD. I can't give them an A, but I also can't really fail them there. So I give them a B there as well. Because
Awesome.
they're clearly still sort of going without her. And then lastly, quality of product. I'm gonna lean on you for that, and I'm gonna give them an A there. So overall, I got Chamberlain Coffee at a B plus. What do you have them at?
I agree. I think that's a great
B.
one, or like a great score to give
All right,
them.
B plus. Let's keep going.
All right.
What you got next?
So next, I have a company called Talentless Co. Actually, a triple whale brand. I've
Ooh,
written a case study with them,
hey,
and this is a brand led by Scott Disick, who
Lord.
again more of a Lord Disick. Again, not as much of a creator, more of an influencer who came to fame through Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Um, but this product though it's essentially super simple, high quality clothing
Yeah,
essentials. And I'll admit, even when I did the case study with this brand, I didn't know it was a Scott Disick brand until talking to some people in the office that we work with that follow him and knew. So they're not pushing his face on everything, pushing it out there. He is in parts of the website in terms of how the product is created and everything, but it seems like he's deeply involved. He cares about creating a quality product. And I'm a customer of this
yeah.
product now, and I think it's a great product.
Okay, so if I'm going through my criteria here, I think I'm not like a super Scott Disick follower, but creator product fit. I think clothing makes a lot of sense for someone who's from that like reality TV show spot, that sort of elites of Hollywood type of world. That's a male. I think that creator product fit is pretty good. Quality of product, that's sort of like the point of it, is that it's like, yeah, I'm just this talentless guy. Like, try it though. Like, you'll see. Is that it's like a very high quality product. And then what is the brand without the creator? So that's where they get knocked down for me. I'm going to say that the brand without the creator, I've looked at it. I don't think that it has a USP without Scott Disick behind it. I know you said you didn't know that it was Scott Disick, but I just don't think it would be where it is, and that's fair, right? That's fine. It can be that. So I'm going to give it an F in that category, but I'm going to give it an A in the other two categories, and that's gonna bring it out to about a B minus for me.
Yep, I'm gonna give it A plus quality. They're my favorite shirts. I've bought in a lot of
Mm.
them. Brand without the creator, I agree, a little bit of a hit there. But the fact that I didn't know, I've introduced it to my friends who don't know either. I'm gonna give it a much higher score. I'm gonna give it a B minus.
Mm.
And then creator product fit, I do think that's an A plus. It seems like he cares a ton about fashion. He's involved in the process from what they show. So my overall, it sounds like your overall is closer to like
Mine's a B
a
minus.
C.
Sounds like yours is like an A.
Mine is up probably an A minus.
All right, if we shake it out, if we average that out, we're at a B together.
Fair
So
enough.
we got
Fair enough.
talentless at a B. All right, next up from me, I have Seek Discomfort. So Seek Discomfort is a brand by Yes Theory. And what we tried to avoid here were just merch brands. A lot of creators and influencers have merch brands where they're just like selling some t-shirts. And like comedians have that. Seek Discomfort is merch plus. So it does have a lot of their sort of phrases on it or things that people who watch their channel will really like from the inside, but it's also generally just essentials, right? So Yes Theory is a challenge video YouTube channel where they like try really hard stuff. And the idea behind the brand is that you're like supposed to seek discomfort, like seek those things that are hard, that make you uncomfortable. So they have like conversation cards in there. They have a book, I think. And then what's really cool is this is what I think is unique about this brand and definitely makes me give it points, is that they, because of what the brand is, are able to do collaborations with other creators. So they did a collaboration with Michelle Carre, who's another sort of like challenge YouTuber. Like she makes these like basically full length feature films about, becoming a boxer or be like doing these like very hard things. So they kind of created this like foundation by which they can do a lot of those collaborations with all the challenge YouTubers there are, of which there are a lot. So I like this one. Creator product fit, I like it a lot. I think they, what is the brand with? I'm going to give them an A in that. What is the brand without the creator? I don't think this would be much without the creator, but I think that angle could still work. So I'm going to give them a C in this category. I think if there was no creator, you could still launch a brand with that same angle. Mm-hmm. And lastly, I'm going to put quality of product. That's where I'll probably dock them and say, I don't know, I haven't experienced the product, but to just do essentials, like there's a lot of companies that do essentials well. So I can't see them being much better than C in this category. They net out to like a B- for me.
I really like how they lean into the seek discomfort, which is like it almost feels like a mantra or like what Yes Theory stands for. So I love that. I love that extension of the brand. I agree with you on a lot of these. I think creator product fit, like a lot of people can connect to this now without knowing who they are, but it does tie very close to their brand. So great creator product fit. But because of that, they might get docked a little bit for what the brand is without the creator. And then finally, for quality of products, definitely more average in that realm.
Yep. Yeah, I got these guys at a B- overall. What do you think?
I agree. B- overall.
All right, what's next?
All right, so my last one is Full Send by the Nelk Boys. If you're not familiar, the Nelk Boys started out as a YouTube channel probably 10 plus years ago now. And from the start, they almost coined the term Full Send for doing crazy pranks, doing crazy things and everything they do. This is a channel that I followed a lot from a young age. And then they launched that into a brand called Full Send. And when it launched, it's more traditionally a merch brand and everything around it, high quality merch. But then it's actually ascended beyond that recently with Happy Dad. Yeah. So when I break this down, I think if you're just looking at Full Send, it's good creator product fit, but the brand is nothing without the creators. They are the brand. It completely goes away. And it does seem like the quality of product, they at least put a lot of thought into it, but it still seems a little bit average. So probably a B in terms of quality of products. Yeah. But when you take Happy Dad into account, I think that has ascended beyond. Happy Dad is now seen a lot of as just like a high quality seltzer that has really penetrated a ton of areas of the market. And I think that strengthens a lot of this. I do think that brand will live on without. So when I take all of that into account, it probably comes out to, I mean, I feel like we're giving a lot of B's here.
A lot of creators getting B's, not a lot getting A's. That's
not a lot of getting A's. Yeah. Yep.
Comes out to a B for you. Yeah. So I think creator product fit, like I almost want to give them extra points in this category because it totally makes sense for them to launch some kind of alcohol brand. It's an A+, 100% for me. Quality of product, I've heard a lot of great things about Happy Dad. And so I think that's also an A+. What is the brand without the creator? This is where I think they almost fail, right? Like, I don't know. Food and bev is just so competitive. But you could say the same thing about Feastables or Prime or a lot of the really big ones, is that they wouldn't be anything without, like, because they're putting this creator with it, they're able to sell this like commodity that has this huge market. So I'm not mad at them about it, but I kind of have to give them, I kind of have to fail them in that category. So I'm going to go with a C for me. So you got a B, I got a C. We'll go with a C plus, B minus for these guys, just so we're not giving out so many Bs. Last one is David Dobrik's brand Crunch Labs. So David Dobrik is a creator, a YouTuber who does like science projects, and Crunch Labs is a science project kit like brand. I can knock this one out really quick. Quality of product is incredible. I think there might be other brands that do this, but I think he's like very, very involved with the product, and a lot of people really like this. A lot of people buy every single one. This brand is doing really well, as far as I can tell. And incredible creative product fit, right? Like he has a lot of kids who watch, or parents who watch with their kids. So this is just like such a natural extension of his channel. What would this brand be without the creator? I actually think this is a brand that, like, if you were just advertising, like, I could see a lot of great hooky ads for this brand without the creator in it, right? Like they don't have to advertise because they have this creator, but I could see them, like, if they showed sort of like some of these like science, these experiments and stuff like that, I think a lot of parents could get behind the idea anyway. I think that the idea is novel enough that that's part of what makes it so good. So this one is probably my highest grade of the bunch. I'm giving it A's in every category. I've got it at an A plus all the way through.
Amazing. I love that. I agree with all of that. And the one thing I've heard about Crunch Labs is we have several employees here at Triple Whale who their kids love it. They're all into it, and they're always talking about it. So I agree with everything you said there. And I think this is just an incredible product that ascends beyond the creator at this point. All right. Awesome. So with that, that wraps up that section. Lastly, we're going to jump into the Johnologue, and to tee it up, a lot of people were up in alarms last week because they said Klaviyo launched their own agency. Yeah. John, did they actually launch an agency? What happened here?
Okay. This reminds me of a story. I'll use it as a parable. There's a guy that I know who's a vet, and he told me this story about a girl who came in to his office, and she had a pet snake. And this pet snake was pretty special because it was like kind of like a puppy, right? Like it was like very good friends with her. It would lay on her lap, and it was a constrictor snake. So it had grown pretty big, but it'd lay on her lap. It wouldn't ever squeeze her, but it would lay around her. It would like, she would pet it. It would follow her around like a different kind of animal. She had this really special bond with the snake, and the snake had stopped eating. And she brought the snake into the vet, and she's like really worried. She's like, it's not eating. I'm worried he's sick. He seems lethargic. He's not really moving around very much. And the vet goes, you let this snake out of its cage? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, and it like sleeps with you sometimes, naps with you, that kind of thing. She goes, yeah, like, yeah, it's my best friend. And he says, you have to put this snake down. And she goes, why? And he said, the snake isn't eating because it's going to eat you. It was saving. These are the snake's instincts. This is the natural evolution of this snake as it gets bigger. It's still, no matter what you do, no matter how good your bond with it is, it's still a wild animal. And that's the thing that agency owners have to understand about a software partner. And I'm not like, defending Clay. I'm not saying that we would do that as Triple Whale or whatever. It's still its own business, and it has to do what's best for its own business. Now, if they think that's not best for the business, that's fine. But they can't just be mad just because, like, hey, we made you. How could you do this, right? The snake will eat you if it gets big enough and you let it. So my point here is, if Klaviyo can take over your clientele with their service that's like $30,000, or Triple Whale, I am the head of pro services at Triple Whale. If you charge a client $5,000 and they think they could pay us for, a couple $250 coaching calls a month and take over and do it themselves, then you as an agency aren't offering them enough value. And I think that's what agencies are really worried about here.
A lot of people too were talking about, like, this is just going to encourage agencies to up their game. It's going to increase the quality on all fronts. And I think there is a very different service that like a pro service provides than an agency that's an extension of your team. It's
all different. Things that are currently happening with AI and even overseas, the ability to source talent from overseas and stuff, you're just not allowed to be mediocre. And
Right.
so, I mean, really, that's the gist of it. If you're an agency that's not mediocre, you have nothing to worry about here. And I don't actually think this is going to hurt Klaviyo that bad. At the end of the day, really, it's I think just overblown. I think it's just us trying to. I think agency owners are a little bit hurt by it, and so they're venting, and that's understandable. But if it really, really affects your business, then I think you got to look a little bit more at your business than at Klaviyo. You can't blame Klaviyo for that.
Totally agree.
I think that's the show, man. That's
All right.
people are well informed now.
That's episode 6. That's a wrap. And we will see you next week with more Well Informed.